Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebar2go.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show. Hey everybody, Colonel Steve here. We are on our extended break from Memorial Day, just carried over that long weekend into a full-on vacation, and so enjoying some fun. And I know I've got a little travel mixed in there, as well as some time off, and some time at the shop, actually. So kind of combination work and vacation. Hey, we've got one here for you today. This is a 2019 look at certified bourbon legends. So, over time, things change. You begin to evaluate people differently and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun to look back at a show. 2021 doesn't sound like it was that long ago, but, it's 4 years ago. So time goes by so quick that something like this, while in your mind it doesn't seem like a long time ago, that's quite a few years difference, and we might evaluate it differently today. But here's a look at who we thought were the certified bourbon legends in the year 2021.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss the living legends of bourbon. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Turner Wathen, Corey Welch, Lenny Eckstein, and Dana the Dreamer 6.
Hey gang, what's up?
Hey guys.
Hey. So we've got a fun show today. We're going to be talking about living legends in bourbon, and it should be cool to see what everyone comes up with. But before we get to that, I had something unique happen today that I guess is a COVID thing. So, sometimes you get the Jehovah's Witnesses coming to the door. They are now mailing letters. I got a handwritten, so the envelope's handwritten, and then the letter's on like a school page, and it's it has the lady's name, the church is the return address, and she's, if you're searching for answers, we've got you covered. And have you guys a couple questions? Have you guys ever got one of those? And number 2, do you think in any way that's ever effective at all? Is anybody reading that and being like, this is what I've been looking for? I need to talk to these folks. So first of all, have you guys got a letter like that? Yeah.
No, I didn't know they started mailing.
It feels oddly more intrusive even than knocking on the door, because now they're in your house.
That letter into your house before you know what it is.
Yeah, I got something better. So there's somehow this dude keeps dropping letters into our mailbox. They're not addressed or anything. They're just pamphlets of this big telecommunication conspiracy theory. He drops about one a month, so now I'm getting pumped up. Like, I'm excited for this shit. I'm like, a week 3 Thursday, this better be here. And he talks about unspecifically the abuse he's gone through, how he is, how he's hunted down by the government. It's amazing. And so I was like, I'd rather get his shit than a Jehovah's Witness, because I feel like if you're going to find Jesus, isn't that kind of on you? Like, no one's like, hey, go find alcohol. Like, you just got to do it yourself.
They should be.
Right.
That's what I do. I don't.
So this guy, and is everyone getting it, this pamphlet, or is it just targeted towards certain people like yourself, Turner?
Our whole neighborhood gets one. It's awesome. We got a whole group WhatsApp message about it.
Nice.
It'll be a Netflix docuseries in about 5 years.
Perfect.
Is it like the whole 5G, the whole 9 yards? Like
yeah. And it's fucking rambly as hell. Like, it's not coherent. It's not well paragraphed out. Like, he obviously you didn't use correct English to elaborate on his experience, but it's an experience.
Yeah.
pretty great.
So does anyone know a Jehovah's Witness? And what type of success do they have with their recruiting? Then, McNeil, you got your hand up.
My aunt, when she got married, she converted, I guess, to be a Jehovah's Witness with her husband's family. They weren't really into it. Like, they didn't try to round up people or whatever. They just didn't do that part. They just took nice vacations when everybody else was being forced to go to Christmas. So they made it look nice. But I also worked with a lady who was a witness, and she didn't try to recruit people either. So I feel like the recruiters are probably just extremists in some way. Maybe.
Or maybe it's early on. You have to do that.
Yeah.
And then once you're kind of in, then you just don't bother with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody thinks it's offensive when people talk to you about Jesus, but I want to be like, hey, what's your birthday? Let me tell you your horoscope. And they'd be so damn offended about it.
I mean, aren't people offended when someone comes up and starts talking about Jesus?
I mean, I am.
The birthday. Yeah.
Acceptable for some reason for them to do that, but not for me to talk about weird shit.
I mean, in line with intrusiveness and kind of similar to what Steve dealt with, but not COVID, we go whitewater kayaking out here a lot, and the stretch river that we run quite often, it's called the Numbers. It's on the Arkansas River. And when you get in your boat and get in the river, it's referred to as the put-in. And where you get out is called the takeout. Some people call it the pull-out, but that's not what it's called.
It's takeout.
So we're at the put-in, and we're all getting in our boats, and two dudes walked up in the summer in suits and started, preaching their deal. And I immediately paddled away. But one of my friends was like, dude, do you think we're here to hear about what you have to say? And he quickly dismissed them. But yeah, man, I think it's super intrusive. I mean, I know they're trying to do their thing to the best of their abilities, but I don't know.
Another story, Lenny. I also used to do a lot of whitewater kayaking, and then
nice.
I was at a place in Arkansas, just off of Lake Washita, and they called it it was called Drag Over, and it was this basically a little eddy they had made for playboat kayaking and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I mean, they had parking and everything. You pull up, you put your boat in the water, and at any given time there'd be 30 or 40 kayakers there, and what kayakers do, and they'd be doing what kayakers do, and they'd be off in the bushes, smoking some stuff, and there was a lot of drinking going on.
Reading pamphlets.
Yeah. We were talking about 5G telecom. No, anyway. And we're down there having a good time, and we hear some singing coming in the background. We didn't know what it was. And this is on a Sunday afternoon, mind you. And then about 50 people come walking down the hill to where the water is, and they're going to baptize some people in the middle of all these kayakers. So interesting enough, what they didn't know was that my friend Cole, who was this idiot redneck, and I hope he's listening because he would agree with me, but he had went up to the store with his wife to buy a bikini, and he had put the bikini on in the parking lot and didn't know these people were down there. So in the middle of this baptismal session, my drunk redneck friend Cole went down the hill in a bikini bottom and let people know how he felt about it. So
Nice. Steve, that's what you should have done.
Yeah, that's what I should have done. Yes. Well, of course, I just got a letter, so I will.
And a Tommy Bahama.
Yeah.
If it had a return address, you can take some Polaroids to send back.
To send back, yes.
Yeah.
It does have a return address, so it's a church that's near me, and then it also even had an email address. So yeah.
Steve, I think they're the ones that believe that only 144,000 people are going to heaven, right?
Yeah, they feel like I could be one of them. So.
Maybe you should Google how many. Maybe you should Google how many members the Global Jehovah's Witness Church has, and say, "Hey, looks like you guys have already met your quota."
Looks like you got it.
Out.
They want the Bourbon King of St. Louis.
Exactly.
It's in, yeah,
I always
it's
heard
in-
if you gave them money, they would go away. So maybe you should respond like with a small check.
Oh yeah, that can't go wrong. They're over there every day, like feeding a stray animal. Yeah, yeah.
Like, he pays us. We like this guy.
Right, right. All right. Well, guess what? We drink, unlike our friends who come knocking at the door, sending in letters. So, what is everyone drinking tonight? Let's start with Turner. Turner, what do you got there?
That was a great topic, Steve. So just a little bit of rare breed, no big deal.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Nothing, no noise at all. Let's let Lenny go next. Let's let Lenny go next because Lenny's going to
I'll go
school
next.
you here on how to pop a cork here. So here
I'll
we go.
do something. So let's see. In honor of Deer Hammer whiskey now being available, probably by the time this show airs, I'm going to pop corks of nothing but Deer Hammer. This show and any subsequent shows. In this instance, this is some fairly newly bottled Deer Hammer American Single Malt Port Cask Finish. Anything? I heard it.
Yeah,
You're in first place.
yeah, you're in there.
Okay.
You
You're winning.
you took the lead. You took the
right.
lead. All right, Dana,
Fair.
how about you?
I have a pretty well-loved bottle of Angel's Envy. So
Not much.
Okay, Lenny's got the lead still.
Crushing.
I've got David Nicholson.
I think I'm going to keep my lead.
I think you are too.
Usually, typically, I think my
Everything
internet
travels.
connection got me there. So
Yeah.
Lenny is still in the lead.
it was my internet connection. It was fantastic. But all right,
Blame it on
Lenny's in the
everyone.
lead.
Lenny's in the
Lenny's in the lead. All right, Lead McNew, what do you got?
All right. I have some minor case.
McNew.
Ooh.
That's going to be hard to beat.
I relinquish my lead. I guess.
McNew's got the lead.
Got,
Corey, you're next. What do you got?
got the old Carter 13-year single barrel.
Not enough to knock off McNew.
Not
It's decent.
enough.
Not enough. Not enough. So congrats to McNew on the victory. First one of the night.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. What we'll do next, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, it'll be time to talk about some certified bourbon living legends. We'll do that in just a few.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about living legends of bourbon.
Yes, we are. So who wants to kick this thing off? Who's worthy of the legend title? Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of executive bourbon steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your executive bourbon steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your executive bourbon steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show.
This is Katie Garrett with the Bourbon Buddies, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about living legends of bourbon.
Yes, we are. So, who wants to kick this thing off? Who's worthy of the legend title?
Well, there's a lot of movement with your girl Jackie right now, right?
Sure.
I mean,
absolutely. St. Louis's own. Yeah.
Her posts are always so damn cool. I'm like, want to be like that.
She's definitely cool. Definitely cool. So, yeah.
You know, Dana, where I like where you're going with that direction is this is a big question, and there's a lot of them that are like come to mind right off the bat. I'm stoked to hear what a lot of you guys have to say, but I was kind of thinking along the lines of like, who gets a little slept on? And on these shows we talk a lot about craft and being behind the stills. A lot of times I like to think about who is pushing it in the craft side of things. I thought of a couple there, so I'm just going to throw them out there, and I'm sure we'll hit on some of the heavy hitters on the large side too. But on the craft side, one guy that I don't hear a lot from lately, and I think we might again soon, Chip Tate, formerly of Balcones.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was one that, like, that dude's done a lot of cool stuff, and he's definitely still living. Although you don't hear from him much because he's got another project going on.
Okay.
But all the stuff coming out of Balcones now, so much of it was his origination. He had a lot to do with the original, the kickoff of craft whiskey. So I would tip my hat to Chip on that.
If you haven't read the New York Times expose, which I think was written by Fred Minnick on Chip Tate, and you're listening to this, go and read it because the guy's just fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
And he's a fucking badass.
Okay.
And he carries a big gun.
I hear that.
Got to be from Texas, huh?
Yeah.
So, I've got one, and it's not just because I'm sponsored by him, Steve, but
oh gosh,
but Pat Heist. I mean, how can you not look at Pat Heist and see that at some point down the road, the legacy that he's created, not only because they make great whiskey, but also just because he's got his hands in so many other projects and helping other people get the recipes and whatnot right.
This sounds like, were you paid for that?
I was not.
On the show and he cut your check?
I was not.
Okay.
Corey, I had Pat on my list too. So I see I was on that.
Okay.
I love what they did, like their path to where they are now. God damn, their whiskey's good. The bourbon, the rye, like all of it.
All of it.
Okay. Lenny, you said you had a list. Who else is on your list? I do have a
list, but I'm coming to the end of the list, and I'm sure there's more. But it's such a crazy question. Sticking to the craft thing, another guy, Colorado-based, Todd Leopold is another one that the guy is an insane depth of knowledge, and there's no, what I really appreciate about him, amongst like just being a super nice dude, his history in it, starting out purely on the grain and fermentation side in beer and transitioning to whiskey forever ago. But one thing that's kind of neat that you don't really think about, there's zero gimmick to Leopold Brothers. It's all core curiosity, innovation in terms of what their curiosity is sparked by. There's no goofy stories. It's just all real. And I think that's badass. And of course, the 3-chamber still.
Sure. Okay. There is Lenny's list. Who else do we want to talk about? I mean, to me, a legend, and when I define this in my mind, it's somebody we're going to be talking about, not we, other people will be talking about 200 years from now. Today we still talk about Elijah Craig and, these people that are gone a long time. Who's on par with that? Are the people that we mentioned on that sort of level? I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe there will be. It's interesting, but I mean, I do think they have some that reach that already, like Jimmy Russell. I mean, Jimmy Russell is someone who we talked about
a living legend.
As long as they're making whiskey, as long as bourbon's a thing. Jimmy Russell will be written into the history. So to me, he's definitely the living legend of living legends.
I guess it'll be interesting because I think it'll happen in the next 10 years. Charles Medley. He's not very talked about, but him being instrumental in running and operating the Medley Brothers Distillery before it was sold in the late 90s, and what he kind of means to Owensboro. I always think about like interesting people. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with Jim Rutledge.
Right.
Like, we don't know if his transition from Four Roses to what he's doing now, he's going through a hell of a time finding a distillery, and so like, can he write that story? I'm sure. I guess the Willett family has some lore there. But I really, Lenny, I tip my hat to you on calling out Chip Cake, because I think that's spot on.
That dude's inspired a lot of people. But yeah, there's others too. You brought up a good point with regards to folks like Jim Rutledge, who might not be as much in the spotlight right now. Even, I would say, like, worth considering, Greg Metz, for his time at MGP and in previous iterations of that distillery. People are freaking out over MGP stuff right now, and that's more or less his doing.
Right. Yeah, and he's still writing his story that Willett
Sure.
told 200 years from now. We'll see. Old Elk seems to be doing really good. So, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I keep going back to just the classics. I mean, we got Fred No is a living legend.
Yeah.
I'll say one too.
The third is another one.
Here's one that influences all those people too, but doesn't stick his head out in the public as much. But that's Harlan Wheatley. I mean, look at all that.
Good point.
Look at all the stuff that guy's got his hands in. Look at all the brands that he's over, and how many people get him on podcast, or how often does he get out in the public and actually do things? I mean, he
that's because of him. He's not that's not his personality. But yeah, I agree that he's a legend for sure. He just doesn't like that because believe me, he's not on our podcast because we don't want him on. He's not on our podcast because he doesn't want to come on.
Also, just outside of distillers, Bernie Lubbers. Like, there's not a more iconic brand ambassador in the state.
Yeah. The guy who kind of wrote what that job is, literally created it. And I think there's a place for Bernie in the history books for sure. Yeah. He's definitely a big time living legend.
Peggy Stevens, what she's done with promoting.
Sure, because the organization that she's created too, Bourbon Women, obviously was going to go on forever. So yeah, I mean that's how you create a legacy, how you create a legend for sure.
Yeah. So. And I mean, their new president, Maggie Kimbrell, she's going to be a big deal. She's already a big deal, but I think she'll be a legend in her own right.
Yeah.
So what happened? So she exited Privateer, or am I thinking of a different person?
What?
I fucked it all up.
Elaborate. I know who you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't think you're talking about the same person.
No, I screwed that up.
Okay.
About the show.
It's an interesting thing. Like, when you talk about legends, another thing that comes to mind is, like, not that this is a qualifier by any means, but Steve, I believe you brought up Jimmy Russell. Now, obviously fits the category, but furthermore, is there anyone, and maybe there is, I don't think so, anyone more legendary as well, in the sense of, if they walked into the bar that you were at, you would immediately, turn your head and be like, whoa, unquestionably, you know who he is. The most recognizable legend in this list, I would say. Yeah. Short of maybe Todd Leopold in overalls.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, by recognition, by look. And again, we mentioned some other ones, but I think Fred No could slide into more crowds than Jimmy. I mean, certainly Julian Van Winkle III. I think you're right. The biggest facial recognition guy is certainly Jimmy Russell. Yeah, for sure,
no doubt.
I think that another living legend, outside of bourbon production, but within the bourbon industry, is Mike Veach. I mean,
yes,
his contributions to the world of bourbon. He's a legend for sure. Yeah. Who else are we thinking?
You said Freddie, or you said Fred, no, but also Freddie. Like, he's in his 30s, already doing legendary things.
Yes, he's on the path for sure. For sure. He's young and he hasn't had the job yet, which when his dad steps down, then he'll be the man. And yes, I think that yes, he's definitely going to be a legend for sure. I agree with that. Absolutely. Anyone else we want to call out during this? This is one of those things where you'll get in trouble for people you didn't call out. But are we missing any obvious ones? That's what you want to get. You want to make sure you don't miss any obvious ones.
Man, I feel like we almost need a discussion of legends in bourbon and then legends of craft bourbon, because I hate to say diminish, but when you like kind of dip down into the smaller players, man, there's some serious characters in this industry. And that's almost a segment unto itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we still have to say, like, Alan Bishop, like, he's going to say, I'm in Indiana, I don't get the attention. They had a breakout year in 2020,
Absolutely.
Awards and stuff, and he's a mad scientist, so he'll definitely go down in history a legend.
Yeah, I mean, anyone, especially, again, I keep harping on craft, but Alan's, like paving his own road, but at the same time, the road for other craft distilleries to follow in terms of, tons of things, but innovation with grain. That's a big deal.
But the person that I think needs to be recognized is Chris Morris. I mean, that guy has been doing amazing things for 50 years almost. So, yeah. So, and there's more out there. Jerry Dalton is a personal favorite too. I mean, anytime you're in charge of Beam for 9 years, I think that's a big deal, and he'll be remembered.
There's so many, and then like when you start to think about it, you just start forgetting people.
I like Corey and Lenny's kind of line of like, there's almost like has to be criteria. It's like what are you contributing? Like, how innovative are you? Because for Rolling Fork, I mean, we're innovative in the sense that we just don't fuck up rum. Like, we don't have a distillery per se, and so we're not going through every process of mashing, fermentation, distillation, barreling, and so when you think about guys like Pat and all that he is like Corey, like you said, everything that he contributes outside of just what they do at Wilderness Trail, and Chip has this mix of character and contribution, and he's absolutely instrumental in what I set out to try and do. Whereas like me, it's like, we're fucking independent bottlers. So I think there has to be. I like the criteria that both of you all kind of established. That was a fucking ramble.
Well, yeah, though, another point, I think it's an interesting thing with the independent bottler thing, and it's something that's starting to get a lot more shine. Obviously, there's been independent bottling going on forever, but I think it's rad that in this country, there's so much attention now being given to, the obvious, or like the guys behind, like Barrel. There's Lost Lantern out of New England that's doing some really cool stuff. And I love the idea of independent bottling in its truest form, with no intention to confuse or murky the waters. So I think that's cool. And like that facet, does someone of legend necessarily need to be someone that's behind the helm at a distillery? I mean, certainly not. It could be a brand ambassador, but even some of the blending things that are finally starting to kick off in this country with pride and innovation, that is stuff that will be of legend.
That's a really good point, because I mean, if you look at the most famous and notorious brand today, Pappy Van Winkle, that was never. He had never at any point did Pappy ever run a distillery.
Nope.
And the story is phenomenal, and his contributions to the Weller are impressive, but it's weird how things get remembered and who makes it through the cut, for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his marketing, and being a fantastic salesperson, and I'll tell you someone else that's getting that right now is these folks, Mark and Sherry Carter.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff they're putting out. I mean, when you look at what they've already had their hands in with Dixon over at Kentucky Owl and then this new brand, I mean, they're marketers. They know what they're doing. I mean, they make quality product, beautiful labels. People love it.
What do you think about the Hendersons, like Wes and Kyle? I think they will be someday.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. Obviously Lincoln's contribution is huge. Angel's Envy is an interesting one. I think their path is cool, and I think, in a sense, legendary in the fact that they completely shook up the standard of bourbon and somehow managed to get people to say, well, that's okay what you guys are doing.
Right.
So, they therefore blaze a trail for others, I'm just finishing sipping on a port cask finished American single malt, which is more acceptable than a finished bourbon, but I like that Angel's Envy, they flipped the script a bit.
Well, they flipped it twofold, and then you got to consider the bottle type, and you got to consider followers like Peerless.
Yep.
Yeah.
To set a premium price with an identifiable bottle, which is exactly what, it totally changed the fucking market, because it was a bottle that a bartender would never want to put their fucking hands in. But you still saw it on bar backs because it was so fucking pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did it from the marketing and bottle design. They did a good job with all of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great conversation. We'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Turner, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Rolling Fork Rum, or hit us up at rollingforkrum.com.
All right. Corey, how about you?
I'm Mr. Corey Welch on Instagram and Twitter now, because somehow I got suckered into that. And if you want more information about my bourbon club, you can find that at www.bourbonug.com.
All right. Dana.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter as Dana the Dreamer 6.
Lenny.
You can find me and Deer Hammer Distillery on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Deer Hammer, on the web, deerhammer.com. And as of now, you can order Deer Hammer full lineup of whiskeys. Actually, not a bourbon, though. Everything else, we're low on bourbon, at deerhammer.com. Just click buy now, and it'll ship to your door. Whether your state allows it or not, it'll still happen.
When is that hickory smoked whiskey going to have my photo on there?
About a month. 1 month.
Okay.
Guest appearance by the Colonel himself.
I can't wait.
Lenny, what should I buy?
That's such a big question, man. Yes. You want a barrel?
I'm not that rich. All right, I'm not going to buy all. So you got the single malt.
Dude, hit me up with an address and I'll get you the very exclusive Deer Hammer rum.
There you go.
Really?
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
And I'll pay for it because I want to support local. Not that we're fucking local. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
All right, back to the show. McNew, how about you? Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram as Miss_McNew.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the
All right, great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
See you guys.
Peace. Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. the ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.